How's it going, boys and girls? Uncle Ron, Brother Ron here on Ron Sombrano's Humanize YouTube channel, where we learn about each other. Plain and simple. This channel is all about the good that we human beings do. Not so much the negatives. There's too much of that. Right? We've got to be positive, right? Think about the good stuff. All right, be happy, no doom and gloom, right? So, with that said, I gotta let you know I am an attentive listener. All right, meaning you call me up, we can have a session where you can just confess all your sins or talk about life, just so that you can vent. And when there's nobody around for you to talk to, bounce off ideas, or share a milestone. They just need to talk about something. Not so much therapy like mental health kind of therapy, but you just need somebody to talk to, you know. And I'm that person. You call me up, schedule an hour session. I'm affordable. It's worth it. I'm telling you, everybody needs to talk. Everybody needs to vent, right? I've been doing that for like 20 years. So anyway, email me. I have my email at the end of this video. So if you like this channel, guys, if you like this channel, like it, subscribe to it. I'm not getting any payments for doing this, all right? But if you want to be an awesome, kind person, right? I got my Venmo QR code also at the end of this video, and you can, shoot me a few dollars for like some coffee money. My coffee fund, I like to call that. If you think I'm worthy of a cup of coffee, I got my Venmo account. All right. So anyway, I don't like to talk about politics on my channel, specifically. However, an interesting story came my way, as yours pretty much too. With the advent of the smartphone, you get all these information, right, coming in. So Hawaii, well, I'm from Hawaii. So Hawaii's own Tulsi Gabbard is resigning at the end of June as a member of Trump's team, Donald Trump's team. All right. So Tulsi Gabbard, the director of national intelligence and an advocate of a more restrained foreign policy, submitted a letter of resignation to Donald Trump on Friday, saying that she was stepping away to support her husband after he recently was diagnosed with a rare form of bone cancer. Okay, we're going to touch on that in a little bit. So the departure will bring an end to Ms. Gabbard's rocky tenure overseeing the 18 U.S. intelligence agencies, during which she had been largely sidelined by the White House on significant national security issues, including military operations in Iran and Venezuela. Mr. Trump assembled the second administration last year with an unusual mix of foreign policy hawks in one corner and critics of American entanglements overseas like Ms. Gabbard in the other. But Ms. Gabbard and her wing found themselves increasingly marginalized in recent months, and her departure marks the most significant exit yet from the coalition of restrainers. In her letter Friday, Ms. Gabbard, who's 45 years old, said she would remain in her post as the nation's intelligence chief until June 30th. She says, quote, right, "My husband Abraham has recently been diagnosed with an extremely rare form of bone cancer," she said in her resignation letter, a copy of which was released by her office. She continues, "He faces major challenges in the coming weeks and months. At this time, I must step away from public service to be by his side and fully support him through this battle." Ms. Gabbard has been married to Abraham Williams, a cinematographer, since 2015. So that's like an 11-year marriage. She's stepping down, and like her or not, I don't even know her, but I believe in God, that's just me. Prayers for Abraham and the Gabbards. You know, I don't know what kind of bone cancer that is. I read up on rare forms of bone cancer, but right now, it's hard to say what kind he has. All right, I kind of looked it up. Let's take a look here. Here's an AI thing that just came up, and AI is pretty spot on. So I'm just going to read it, right? And if there's any bone specialists out there, cancer specialists, email me, tell me what's right or what's wrong. Anyway, I'm just going to read it just for the sake of putting out information, all right? So Tulsi Gabbard's husband, Abraham Williams, was diagnosed with an extremely rare form of bone cancer. The specific type of cancer or its exact medical name has not been publicly detailed, as these primary bone cancers are highly uncommon, making up less than 1% of all cancer diagnoses. All right, so the diagnosis prompted Gabbard's resignation from her position as Director of National Intelligence to be by his side. All right, so that is that. But then I'm going to click another one, another AI definition here. So anyway, you can Google what I say, right? Because I'm not an expert, but I'm just going to read this anyway, just for the sake of content, I guess. All right, so bone cancers are primarily classified into two categories. All right, so it's a primary bone cancer is cancers that start directly in the bone or surrounding cartilage. Okay, so the secondary or metastatic bone cancer, cancers that start elsewhere and spread to the bone. Primary bone cancers, bone sarcomas. Primary bone cancers are rare, accounting for less than 1% of all cancer diagnoses. The common types include osteosarcoma, the most common form of primary bone cancer, primarily affecting children and young adults ages 10 to 25. It forms in osteoid tissue and typically develops in the ends of long bones near the knees and upper arms. Chondrosarcoma, the second most common primary bone cancer overall, and the most frequent type in adults over age 50. It forms in the cartilage that pads the ends of bones and lines joints, usually around the pelvis, hips, and shoulders. All right, that is the chondrosarcoma. And the other one, I think I'm going to pronounce this right, Ewing sarcoma. Ewing sarcoma, the third most common primary type. It mainly affects children and young adults and typically originates in the middle of long bones like the femur, the thigh, and upper arm, as well as the pelvis, ribs, and spine. It's like pretty much the whole body, if you ask me, right? So, what is okay? So the rare primary bone cancers. So the chordoma or chordoma, a slow-growing rare tumor that forms along the spine, typically at the base of the skull or the tailbone, one end to the other end. It's scary stuff when you think about it. Undifferentiated pleomorphic sarcoma, UPS, of bone. Aggressive cancers that arise from connective tissues near the ends of bones rather than from bone cells themselves. The other one, fibrosarcoma, another highly uncommon malignancy of the connective tissue, mostly occurring in older adults. Secondary metastatic bone cancers. Metastatic bone cancer is vastly more common than primary bone cancer. It occurs when cancer cells from a primary tumor in another organ, most commonly the breast, lung, kidney, thyroid, or prostate, spread to the skeleton. These are treated as the original cancer type. All right. This would be a good topic for like an oncologist. I could interview him via Zoom or something or in person. I think that would be awesome, right? As I build this podcast, right? And just get some really intelligent people on the subjects I want to talk about. Nothing like having real human beings being interviewed by the best in the world, me. Come on. I am the best. Ever was, ever will be. I'm ripping off, I think it's Bret Hart, right? The the wrestler. Anyway, cancers of the bone marrow. This one, a friend of mine had this long time ago. My friend Jeff Chung, I remember Jeff Chung had this. While cancers originating in the bone marrow affect bones and are often treated by similar specialists, they are biologically distinct from bone sarcomas. These include multiple myeloma, cancer of the plasma cells in the bone marrow, leukemia, cancer of the white blood cells, and primary lymphoma of bone, a type of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma that originates in the bone rather than spreading to it. All right, so that's some of the type of bone cancers that's out there. Okay, so let me just talk about cancers just a little bit. We all know someone that had cancer. I mean, you had to have known someone because it's so prevalent these days. Growing up, when I was growing up in the 70s, I mean, it was prevalent back then, meaning, man, I had a lot of friends, their parents had cancers and died. And the thing is, I grew up in Lahaina. Of course, Lahaina, the town's all gone now. It got wiped out from the fires 3 years ago. But, we had the sugar mill. We had the sugar plantation. The mill, right? The mill was full of asbestos, chemicals. They had poisons because they had to kill weeds in the sugarcane fields and, kill rats or whatever. So lots of poisons, lots of lead, lots of stuff in the air that employees, workers were breathing in. My friend's dad had cancer, and it was caused by, I think it was asbestos or something, because he worked in a shop, and he died, and he had cancer, and it took him down real fast. Just a handful of people, right, that I know had cancer. And later on, in the late 80s, I had bladder cancer. And I'm just going to say it. I had bladder cancer. And I pray and I thank God that it's not back. All these years I've been free of it. And I thank God, every day, It's like, especially when I go and do the number one, because that's how I found out I had bladder cancers when I was peeing blood. And cancer is really wicked. It's something that if it's inside of you, especially if it's inside of you in your organs, in your lungs, or heart or brain cancers, it's really scary stuff. And because it's like this, it's like a monster that can just spread, right? And once it spreads, it's really hard to survive it. You may survive a certain duration of your life. It just takes you down. And my brother Elton died of kind of like a stomach cancer like a few years ago, and he passed away, and he went down pretty fast. And I visited him, and he was like on his deathbed pretty much. It's really sad. And but cancer is really wicked. I don't wish cancer on my worst enemies, seriously, because it's almost something you can't win. Almost, you can beat it for a certain time. It's bad stuff. But this is just a short little video about Tulsi Gabbard resigning. So, again, I'm not going to get into the politics and all that, but I remember when she was running, she she was a Democrat, from Hawaii. She was pretty cool in the eyes of a lot of the liberals, left wing guys or the Democratic Party people. And then all of a sudden she jumped ship and became a Republican and was kind of praising Donald Trump. And all the people that liked what she stood for before didn't like her. I had friends that just despised her. But it's like it's politics. I could never get into that. Like, oh, I hate this person. It's like, come on, man. Politicians will be politicians. They play the game. I mean, if I was a politician, I tell you, I'd play the game too. But I'm just being honest, right? I can say I stand for something, but I tell you what, man, I hate to say this. I hate to say this, but money, power, it can be tempting, especially when, you're getting older and you might owe lots of money and stuff like that. And, hey, come on our team and we'll take care of you. But, you got to have some kind of morals, right? But, I pray for, what's his name? Abraham. That's her husband's name. Abraham Williams, right? Pray for him, I mean, nothing bad, Hope he gets better. And I don't even know Tulsi, but she's in the news. And the news came my way. I figured, let me just do this short, 20-minute, maybe less than 20-minute little episode. Again, guys, I'm Brother Ron, Uncle Ron, Brother Ron. Here on the Humanized channel. I think there's a few Humanized channels, but this is Ron Sombrano's Humanized YouTube channel. All right. And again, you guys take care. God bless. My email is right after this. Email me if you need an attentive listener anywhere in the world. We can schedule something via Zoom or just on the telephone call. Or if you have an Apple device, FaceTime, we can do that. We can do WhatsApp video messaging or Facebook messaging with the video calls. We can do that. But it's important for you to vent, to talk. Again, I'm not a licensed mental health or a behavioral health behavioral health therapist. I'm just a listener. If you're suffering from depression or whatever, you got to see a professional. See your doctor, your primary care doctor, because those guys are specialized in handling you if you have a deep depression. If you need to be medicated, I don't know. Again, I'm just saying. It's not going to happen. Maybe I'm just saying you might. Who knows? So you need to see a professional on that. All right. What else? And yeah, so if you like my channel, like it and subscribe. And I'm not getting paid to do these right now. Maybe later on when I get a sponsorship. But if you want to be kind and buy me a cup of coffee, here's my Venmo. My Venmo QR code is going to be right after this video as well. And oh yeah, I like to mention this because speaking of depression, again, I'm not a psychiatrist or psychologist, right? But I'm going to say this in goodness for any of you watching this. You have a friend, deep depression, dark place in your life. You have a hard time concentrating. You find yourself, you don't want to wake up in the morning. You just don't want to be around anymore. Take a time out, take a deep breath, step aside, and don't do anything drastic. Talk to somebody. A friend, family, anyone you can trust. If you don't have anyone to talk to about, I'm going to say it, about suicide ideations, suicidal thoughts, I'm going to say it, please get some help. If you don't have anyone to talk to, the number right over here, it's going to be here someplace. 988 is the suicide crisis lifeline. It's 3 numbers, all right? 988, like 911 emergency. 988, it's an emergency column if you're feeling really down and depressed. They open 24/7. It's good for you. You can talk to them. You'll be anonymous, totally confidential. And they cater to multi-languages. So there you go. Again, this is about Tulsi Gabbard and her resignation. And, her husband is facing a rare form of bone cancer. That's why Tulsi Gabbard is taking the time off, resigning at the end of June. So thoughts and prayers to her again. And here you go. You guys take care. Have a good one. God bless, right? Till next time.